Hello everyone, welcome to Chapter 3, Lesson 5, the 6th grade, we're on page 215. And after scanning the lesson, predict two things we'll learn with multi-digit numbers. So today, we're dividing multi-digit numbers. One thing we're going to do is how to divide each place value. And the other thing says how to use estimation to find the number of digits. In the quotient. Just a reminder, a quotient is the answer to a division problem. So vocabulary startup, we need to find out by looking at the problem, we know the answer is the quotient. The dividend is inside, and then we have the divisor is outside. I cannot even spell. Divisor. The way I remember, this is kind of silly, but the way I remember is I do dividend side. Like the N means inside, so that kind of helps me decipher the dividend is the one that's inside. And remember, the way this is written the other way is 240 divided by 80 equals 3. So the dividend would be first, divisor second, quotient third. Alright, so the real world link. When you are at rest, it takes about 60 seconds for a single blood cell to travel around your body and back to your heart. In 120 seconds, about how many times does a single blood cell travel around your body and back to your heart? Write the dividend, divisor, and quotient in the diagram below. Well, I know that we need 60 is going to divide into 120. So 120 divided by 60. So my dividend is 120, divisor is 60, and my answer will be 2. Because the shortcut, I know 12 divided by 6 equals 2, so I know 120 divided by 60 will equal 2. So this is Camila's target heart rate should be about 200 beats per minute. Estimate the number of times Camila's heart rate will beat in 1 second if her heart is working at this rate. So we're going to say about 3 beats. Since 200 will not divide easily by 60, use 180 as the dividend. So by estimating, we know 180 divided by 60 equals 3. And 180 is close to 200, so that's why we used 180. So moving on to the examples. This is find 351 divided by 9. So this is actually the step. The book really doesn't talk about this, but this is the step I want us to use. So we're going to have 9 as our divisor. Inside, our dividend is going to be 351. So this first step is to divide. So I want you guys to write this down. Divide 9 divided into 3. We cannot do that, so that's going to be 0. And I have to make sure when I say 9 and 3, my 0 is going to go above the 3 because that's the one I'm working with. 9 can divide into 35, and 9 divides into 35 3 times, and my 3 is going to go above my 5. The next step is m is going to be multiply. So 3 times 9 equals 27. And after I multiply, my next step is going to be to subtract. So I'm going to subtract 35 from 27, and I'm going to get 8. And I have to bring down. I'm going to bring down my 1 to give me 81. And my r is going to stand for 2 things. It's either going to be repeat or remainder. So I'll go over the repeat and remainder in a minute. So we're gonna repeat because we still have numbers to work with. So we're gonna repeat to divide. 9 divides into 81 9 times. And then we're gonna multiply. 9 times 9 equals 81. And subtract. 81 minus 81 is 0. We can no longer bring down. So now we're gonna go to a remainder. Since we have 0, this divides evenly, and we have no remainder. But remember this step, this is what I'll be referring back to many times throughout this chapter. Divide, multiply, subtract, bring down, repeat, or remainder. So we're going to do the same thing with example 2. We have 31 as our divisor and 878. So to say this out loud, this is 878 divided by 31. 31 cannot go into 8, so I can put a 0 there. 31 can go into 87 2 times. Now I'm going to go back. I'm going to write this down just to kind of help me out, but I'm only going to write down the first letters. So I divide, 31 divides into 87 twice, multiply, 2 times 31 is 62. Subtract. It's going to be 525, bring down, and repeat. 31 goes into 258. How many times? I'm going to go with 8 times. 8 times 31 is 248. So that's multiply, subtract. We're at 10. Bring down. I can no longer bring down. So now I have a remainder. So it's going to be 28 remainder 10. So I want you guys to go ahead and pause the video. Go ahead and try the got it, A and B. So here is my work. For A, we have 96. For B, we have 19, remainder 14. And I wrote down the steps again to the side to kind of help me out, divide, multiply, subtract, bring down, repeat, or remainder. So for A, we have 96, and for B, we're at 19, remaining 14. So now we're going to do the same thing, except for we're going to use a little bit higher numbers. So we have 4-digit dividends. But it's also going to be the same exact steps as before. So I'm going to write down from earlier, or write down the problem. So 75 cannot go into 6, cannot go into 64, but it can go in 649. So that's going to be, I believe it's going to be 8 times. I just want to make sure. 75. Yeah, it's going to be 8 times. So I'm going to take out my calculator. 8 times 75 equals 600. So I'm going to multiply 600. I'm going to subtract. That's 49. I'm going to bring down. That's going to be 3. And now I repeat. 75 goes into 493. I believe it's going to be 6 times. Let me see. 75 times 6. 450, yes. So it's going to be 6 times and that's 450, and after I subtract, that's going to be 43. I can no longer bring down, so I go to my remainder, and I get remainder 43. So just remember, divide, multiply, subtract, bring down, and repeat. We're going to do the same with example 4, and I completely understand all the works here, and it shows all the answers for you, but I still want us to get that practice in. So 365, 400, or 1460. Now 365 cannot go into 1, it cannot go into 4, and it cannot go in 146, but it does go in here 4 times. And after we do all the math, we get 0 remainders. So just remember, divide, multiply. 4 times 365 is 1460. Subtract, we subtracted, it equals zeros. Bring down, we have no numbers to bring down, so we're going to go to our remainder. No repeat, so our final answer is 4. So go ahead and try the got it, C, D, and E, and I'm just going to write down our steps to help us out. So go ahead and pause the video until you get C, D, and E. So after you do the problems, for C you should get 77, remainder 9. D, you should be getting 93, remainder 2. And E, we should get 3. I kind of want to go into E since it's a word problem. It says, to promote its opening weekend, a water park gave the local middle school 1,050 free tickets. The middle school has 350 students. Each student will receive the same number of tickets. How many will each student receive? So if they each get an equal amount, we're going to take 1,050 divided by 350. And after doing so, 350 cannot go into 1, it cannot go into 10, cannot go into 105, but it can go into 1,050 3 times. Then we're going to multiply, subtract. We can no longer bring down, so we have to go to our remainder, and we have remainder 0, so we don't have to add anything. So it's going to be 3 tickets. 3 tickets. So now we're going to go to example 5. The total number of seats in a college stadium is 54,912. There are 44 sections, and each section has an equal number of seats. How many seats are in each section? So we are breaking down the seats into sections. So since we're breaking down, we know we're going to divide. Some things that's going to help us, an equal number of seats. That kind of helps determine that we're going to be dividing to equal groups. How many seats are in each section? So we know there's 44 sections with 54,912 seats. I'm going to write down my steps: divide, multiply, subtract, bring down, and repeat or remainder. So 44 cannot go into 5, but 44 can divide into 54 one time. 1 times 44 is 44, so after subtracting we're going to get 10. We're going to bring down the 9 and repeat. 44 divides into 109 twice. We're going to multiply and get 88. After we subtract, we get 11. So I have to bring down the 1 more time. That's going to... So 44 goes 111 twice. So we're going to do 88 again. I'm going to have to show my steps. It's going to be 0. It's going to be 11. So it's going to be 3. It's going to be 2. Because that's going to become a 0. And that's going to become 10. So at 23, and we have to bring down one more time. And for those of you that made a mistake. 9 minus 8 is 1. 0 So it's going to be a 10 minus 8 is 2, so it should be a 21. We're going to bring down the 1. 44 goes into 211 4 times. 4 times 40, 4 times 44 is 176. So this is going to be 0, it's going to be 11, it's going to be 5, 1, 10. So we're at 35. Now we're going to bring down the 2 to get 352. 44 goes 352 8 times, and that's actually going to break even. So we can do our remainder, which is 0. So we know there's going to be 1,248 seats. Yeah, sorry for the mistake there, but it's math, it happens. But that is the end of the notes, so thank you for watching.